All right, so I would want to talk about how the lecturer explained the difference between machine learning and data science. I
Hmm.
think my highlight was how he mentioned that machine learning can do things like machine learning can do things better under certain conditions and then cannot do things under certain conditions. So I took notes actually. So he said machine learning works better when the data it takes in is many, like there's lots of
Yeah,
data available for it. And then the learning is simple, and then it works poorly when the learning is complex and it has like small amounts of data to take in. Yeah, that's kind of like my takeaway from the whole thing.
amazing. I think that was also one of my highlights. And I think
Yeah,
from also hearing this experts talk and break down this whole AI and also its like effect
yeah,
to society, it kind of also gives hope, but it also gives like another perspective for you to see, oh, okay, like there's so many words being spread around about AI to just make people so scared. And yeah, it's very comforting to actually hear experts talking about it. Okay, we'll get into what we're about to talk about today. So how many people here are into design? Who? Shelton. Okay, another hand. Kareem. Punashe. Okay, nice. Miriam. Okay, this is getting exciting. I really like how, like, as much as I can't see everyone's faces, it feels exciting because it's like we're engaging. Okay, great. Um, so maybe from one person, what's can somebody just unmute your mic and tell us what's your understanding of what design is? Like, what's design? Like, how would you define design for you?
Well, for me, I was a part of the digital community catalyst a few months ago, and I learned that design is actually a process of storytelling to the people who are viewing whatever it is you're making, your posters or your content. So you're basically sharing a story with the other person. You want your design to be interactive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of deep stuff, but basically it's storytelling.
Okay, I'm happy to hear from Shelton because he was under my side, so under my department, so that's nice. Okay, someone else, Gideon.
I think Shelton basically said it all. It's a way of expressing an idea across visually. So
Mm,
yes, there is a combination of words, but there's also a combination of pictures to put across the message.
mm,
Because what I've realized is most people rarely read, but if you put something visual, it's likely to capture their attention and probably then read.
mm.
So it's a way of maybe captivating people to look at whatever you're trying to put across.
Yeah, that's very, I mean, that's absolutely true. That design is storytelling. And I think most of us, when we hear the word design, the first thing that we go to is graphics and visuals. Um, but most of us don't wrap our heads around the process behind it. Um, at, at the end of the day, almost every design or every design is for a particular experience that they're trying to create for the person who they want to receive, right? So if it's me with my social media graphics, there's a type of emotion or feel that I want people to get out of those designs. If it is me designing, what is it called? Let's say like a water dispenser. I want you to find it easy, attractive, and also very easy to understand. If it's a chair, I want you to find it comfortable, depending, authentic. So it's like at the end, like the end goal of almost every design is um making an experience for someone. So yeah, so today we're going to be looking at how AI is in design. And I think before I even move to the next slide, something that we have been seeing of recent a lot, even from our social medias and just from different like digital spaces, is how AI is into design. It can feel as if you're a graphic designer, or if you know someone who's a graphic designer and you see the things that are coming up, you can start thinking like, oh my God, am I still gonna have my job or stuff like that? Okay. So then something that I wanted us to just ponder on is like, do you need a tech background for you to use design, or for you to be an expert in design, right? Anyone who wants to answer? Yes, no, no, yes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you just need a creative mindset, and a creative mindset has nothing to do with the tech background.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
And that's a good opinion. And I want to ask something in it. When you say it needs a creative mind, what does that mean? Like, what's a creative mind?
I'm very bad with description,
Okay.
but I would say a creative mind is a mind that can think outside the box and find ways to capture attention and maybe like put out certain emotions through whatever you're doing. Yeah. I think that's how I would define a creative mind.
Yeah, I think just to add on that, there's someone who once told me something that has always stayed in my head, which is a lot of people that we know would use that statement of let's think outside the box, right? But what does that actually mean? And I think it can be so much pressure when you're thinking like, oh my God, I have to think outside the box. Then there's this old man who is very successful in business. He came to talk to us one time, and he's like, instead of also thinking outside the box, you can think in the box, but like go around. Like don't stay in the same place. Just go around and touch on different stuff. I feel like when someone says it like that, it feels like it's calmer, and you can actually navigate through it. So yeah, I personally don't think obviously that you need tech to use design, because I'm here, I'm talking to you guys, and I have zero background in tech. Actually, my major was in business management when I was in university, but my whole career experience has been in marketing. And because I worked with a marketing agency for 3 years before moving to Shasha, that's how I got also involved into designing and visual designing processes, designing projects, because like that's also designing. Designing is just creating something for the end goal of creating like a particular experience. If let's say we are coming up with an event, how should it look like? The whole project process is design. Long story short is that everyone can include design in their process of work, right? So what's design with AI, right? So I was reading this article, and it was just explaining how instead of us using the word AI when we're talking about designing, which is artificial intelligence, we should use the word augmented intelligence, right? The definition is very clear, it's there. But I want, if anyone has ever heard of that word before, the word augmented intelligence, just raise up your hand if you have. Oh, I didn't, I was not looking at the chat. Actually, yeah, Karim, I haven't heard your voice, and your hand has been coming up. Yeah, maybe you have heard of augmented reality. Okay. Karim, do you want to share with us what you know about augmented intelligence?
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
All right. So from my understanding, I think it's a concept within AI. Probably that is mainly designed and deployed to enhance complete human intelligence rather than replace it. So it's more of like we're trying to get the concept of human intelligence, but in this case, in the AI space.
Okay. Funasha, your hand was also up. You can unmute your mic and share.
Yeah, I think augmented intelligence is a way of combining the intelligence of artificial intelligence with human intelligence. So using AI in human decision making, in human problem solving, and just to help us in our day-to-day activities.
Yes. Yeah. I think like all of you are saying the same thing, and it's basically the same thing that I think we all know, that it's basically when, yes, AI is integrated with the human mind to come up with intelligence that would support and make their processes, like your work processes, easier, instead of like actually taking over that particular role or that particular task, right? Yeah, so sorry, can you guys see my screen? So yes. I think something that I want us to think of is like AI in design, right? It's not, when most of us think of AI in design, I'm not sure if you guys have also seen these platforms that, let's say, if you just type in what you want, let's say a logo or something, like it gives you exactly what you want. Or if it just like it gives you what you request for a design. And like there are a lot of platforms that just do that these days, right? But there's this saying by this man called Noah that AI helps take care of the meter, which is the little things, so you can focus on the important stuff. And I think for me, hearing that statement, it just changed a lot of things. Firstly, like as a designer, when I was looking at, let's say, an AI making a whole proposal design or an AI making a whole presentation design, you'd think that, oh my God, like my job is taken. But that's not really the case, but it's giving you a foundation. And there's some certain elements when it comes to design that normally take us so much time, but they shouldn't take us so much time. For example, things like alignment, things like where should I place my button if you want like to put a call to action, things about, okay, the colors, how they should be and stuff. So what AI gives you is like a starting point. For people who are beginners at designing and they don't need anything that is so appealing, or they are not focused on actually giving the end users an experience, they would end there. But for someone who you have an end goal of your design, you would understand, okay, it gives you a starting point of how to elevate your design and how to come up with something. So yeah, to make this more interesting, we're gonna go through two design platforms. Firstly, for the ones who have said that they are designers, can you just type in on the chat, or you can also, if you want, unmute your mic and tell us, like, what platforms have you used to design before?
All right. Okay, I'm a UI UX designer.
Okay.
And I've used
Sorry, hello? Karim? Okay, we've lost Karim. I actually had a very good question for him because I know a lot of people who are good at designing or they have experience in designing and they have used, let's say, Adobe, or they have used, I think, let me just say Adobe C Suites, right? when you talk to them about Canva, I feel like even people who are into like the digital spaces, if you have seen memes around about like the graphic designers talking about what Canva is and like what it does, they'll make it seem as if it's a joke. It's like it's a platform that's a joke. While it's completely not true. And it's quite unfortunate that it's quite unfortunate that they view it like that, because unfortunately there's some things through Canva that would take you way lesser time than the way it takes you in Adobe. I'm seeing Canva being mentioned here. I use Canva. Yeah, I wanted Karim to be here since he said he's an UX and UI designer. And I know when so many people hear Canva, they're thinking of like, oh, like immature design, or somebody is just starting to learn how to design and stuff like that. I think after we walk through some of the Canva AI tools that they just put in, we'll also take a look of some designs that we have done. And then I would like for you guys to just give it a guess. Is this Canva? Is this Adobe? Is this Figma? Is this, yeah. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of Adobe and Canva C-suits here. Okay, cool. So for today's session, we're going to explore Canva and Figma. I know all of you have heard Canva because it's the user-friendly one. How many of you have ever used Figma? Ever heard of Figma? Figma was actually becoming such a competition to Adobe that they just bought them off. I think it was last year. Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll take just a sneak look of a Figma. So I personally use both of the platforms to design. I can say Canva is like a baby to me. I like it. It's very simple, but I think when people think of Canva and they think that Canva is very immature, one, two, three, four, it's because they're looking at immature designs. They're looking for people who are just like beginning. But I think if you learn how to maneuver your way with Canva, and if you pay for Pro, it gives you very good results. And Figma is also a design platform that you can do graphic design, but aside of graphic design, you can also do like website design. Like our Shasha website that is yet to launch, we designed it through Figma. Yeah, so, okay. With that said, I'm going to now open Canva, and I just want to show you guys some new features, and you can either all be wowed or just say, oh my God, Lucy, we all knew that already. Okay. I stopped sharing. All right. So who is a frequent user of Canva? Like a weekly user of Canva? Wongwai. Okay. Do you know about the recent updates, Wongwai? Or the, I don't know, AI updates with Canva?
I've seen them. I've tried using them, but they didn't seem so friendly. Maybe it's also because I don't have Pro right now. So yeah, the magic effects. They didn't really look friendly. So I just went back to my old thing.
It's okay. You can find me up at the session and pay me, and I shall make you an expert. Okay, cool. Before I proceed with showing you guys individually some of the AI tools inside Canva, I want anyone to talk about what they think AI does to design, or what impact it has towards design, so that when we get to this, we can just have our minds open and just, yeah. So if anyone wants to share with us what like how exactly do they think AI is impacting design? Yeah. Oh, Agnes said magic effects. Okay. We'll get to that. Sorry. Someone was talking.
All right. I was about to say, I mean, in my field of UI UX, I like AI. Why? Because it actually helps me through coming up with user flows, coming up with a lot of features that I could include in my designs, coming up with a lot of, it helps me in my user research.
Sorry, Karim, like what?
I was saying it helps me in my user research. It helps me in coming up with user flows. It helps me coming up with a lot of features that I include in my designs.
Okay.
And so yeah, actually
And what platforms do you normally use for your designs?
I use Figma for my UI designs.
That's nice.
But through the use of yeah, actually I will share with you my portfolio later on. But through that I use chat. So through ChatGPT, I'm able to get a lot of assistance. It's like ChatGPT and Figma are like my two close buddies.
Amazing. That's great. I think at least you have given a positive perspective to it. To be honest, I think at some point for me last year, was it last year or just beginning of this year, there were so many upcomings about AI in design, so many things. I don't know, also like Google, I don't know, the Microsoft, they're making it's like there's so many things that were coming in. And if you are just a beginner in design, you can lose hope. You're like, okay, so basically I have no career into this. But I think for me, it comes off at the end. We should think about it as a challenge. Because one, of course, we can't fully be like I think be replaced by AI anytime soon. Just like the way we had like industrial revolution and stuff like that. Like we would learn how to know what we should focus on. Anyways, we'll get into that. But for right now, I just wanted us to take a deep dive on the AI features for Canva, and then we'll go for Figma. Yeah, if I knew that someone else was like an expert here for Figma, Karim, I would have given you that role of opening your laptop and walking people through some of the AI features of Figma. Okay, so as much as so many people would really talk low about Canva, I'm a very big supporter of it, because if you have a vision of what you want to implement, and if you actually have taste and you have some of the design principles, like having something like making it simple, making sure that like your design is clean, it's communicating and stuff like that, you can come up with things that make sense. We make a lot of our content through Canva as well. So yeah, I just want us to try out new features together. Which one should I start with? Should I do magic design? Should I do magic video or magic presentation? Magic video. Okay. Where is it? There we go. Try magic video. Okay. So with magic video, basically Canva helps you with creating your video. So let's say it just opened my my downloads, and I select the things that I want, and we make a story out of it. So let's say I'll choose this picture, this picture, this picture, and let's say this picture. And I would say, so you have to describe the video. Let's say describe the kind of video you want. A recap video of me at the Rise Residential Summit. I enjoyed it and was impactful. Okay, then we allow to see what Canva can make out of this. So like I said, AI in design, for me, mostly it's like a starting point. It's like ChatGPT. It gives you a starting point and then you come and edit. Okay, let's start. I want to play fully. anyways, that's a short video of what you can do with AI on Canva. For someone like me or anyone else who is a designer and stuff like that, here it's like, oh, okay, thank you for the content, but I would, adjust. Let's say alignment. Let's say I want my pictures to not come on top of people's faces. Maybe I would come and put a gradient, but it already I already have a storyline. Like it gave me a starting point of thinking of what to do. For someone else who doesn't have, let's say, design background or isn't a designer per se, this video can be enough for them. And I think that's like when you come to businesses, that's like for people who are the founders, people who aren't really in the marketing or design department. You'll be okay with whatever an AI gives you without you editing it. But I think for me, it's very important that you personalize whatever AI gives you, including when you're getting something, let's say from ChatGPT. If I ask for an email template or even a meeting agenda or something like that, or an event planning plan through ChatGPT, what makes it different from me, it's my personal touch. Like, okay, that's great that you've given me this, but using your also knowledge and your own research, you know what to tweak, what to put, and how to attract actually your precise audience. So let's say for this here would come and change, okay, in design, you need to be consistent with your fonts and your logos, your brand standing out and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one thing that you can do here on Canva. But aside from this, let's try another thing. Let's say magic design for presentation. And I wish I had more people who are experts in Adobe C Suites. So many designers who are, let's say, who have been designing for a very long time, and they've been majoring in Adobe C Suites. It becomes very hard for them to accept that Canva can do the same thing that they do because it's painful, because it's like, I've taken 10 minutes to or 5 minutes to remove a background or to change the color of the background and make things aligned. But I can do that in a second on Canva, right? Okay, let's try another thing. So we're going to create a presentation. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
One now.
No?
No.
No.
Okay. Let me just. You still can see it?
Yeah, I still can see it.
Okay.
Well, from my end, I can see it.
Not yet.
Okay. Let me share screen. Now?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're good now.
Yes, now we can see it.
Awesome. So we're going to try and create a presentation. Does anyone have a topic for me? Well, what should the presentation be about? The chat.
Yeah, AI in AI
Guys,
in
no,
design.
that is boring. We can't be talking about AI and you're doing AI. Guys, no.
Let's talk about food.
Who is that? Is that Nadia? More exciting, at least. Okay.
A great weekend experience or something.
Pitch deck for my food business launch. Okay. Gideon, you said AI. You really just wanted to say that you're a pure tech guy.
No, I wanted to say AI in design so that you can see if you do in AI your presentation.
Okay. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one looks at least? Let me see. Okay, let's just open and see. Apply all 7. All right, delicious yours. Your food business launch. Your food business is a solution. Our product we offer. Yada 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 yada. Now again, for someone who is into design, you'll be like, of course, you're not going with this other kind of thing. Words need to be aligned. Words need to be less. But it has given you an agenda, right? Which it gives you a starting point. Which now, what we were talking about, what we were saying about, instead of us saying AI and us using the word augmented intelligence, which is when the AI and you are working together, right? It's not as if it's being in replacement. And let me just open this again. Yeah, which is what like someone who's a designer would take this as. But for someone who has zero experience in design and they actually just want to launch their business and they have never done any design, when they see this, they'll be wowed, right? They wouldn't care. So maybe for people who were doing quote unquote, let's say immature design, it gives them the space to actually do it themselves, or to not give the small jobs to people who they're doing it. But for someone who has been in the industry and stuff like that, most of the AI tools that all the design platform give you, you still have to tweak them. And you have to tweak them to fit your audience. You have to tweak them to fit your story. Or even sometimes for some design tools, you can give them your story. And yeah, anyways, another tool I wanted us to just lastly check is, let's say for here, what's designed with AI? There's this tool here on top called Magic Switch. I hope all of you can still see my screen. And yeah, so it gives you, I can translate, okay, but I can also transform just that title into a document, right? Somebody who does freelance and does the gig of like preparing these documents for someone and stuff like that, they would panic. They'll be like, what? No one is going to pay me to do a blog post anymore, but no, they'll pay you. It just makes your work easier, depending if you're doing it well or if you're doing it just brushly. So let's say blog post, right? Transform into document. Wow, it's like it's actually writing a blog with the time it's taking. Okay, great. Open document. So, okay, here we have another ChatGPT. Basically, you have your document from one line that transforming the digital designing process and yada, 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 yada. Me, in January, if I saw this, I would panic because I would be like, oh my goodness, why would someone hire me? Or someone would hire you, but the roles of design in an organization might reduce. And maybe that might be the case, but anyways, we'll get to that. That's another slide point, not here. Okay, so yeah, and then I wanted us to open Figma. So yeah, so this is basically where we use to design our website. And I think with some of the tools on Figma that are useful for me are the plugins, right? If you even, something that let's say most designers would struggle with is arranging your designs, or making sure that things are in a proper flow and stuff like that. In Figma, it offers you so many plugins that just help you out with simplifying your designing. Like I like Autoflow, and can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So as I was saying, yeah, so Figma also offers you like different plugins that simplify some of the tedious work that a designer had to go through, like making sure your designs are consistent. Now there is an AI tool that helps you do that. Instead of you going through every page and making sure that things are on check and stuff, there's a tool that will help you do all those things. So let me go back to the presentation. Here's screen. Okay. So what does this whole AI into the design industry mean for us, for people who are in designing, or for people who, yeah, in designing is a big component that also takes over marketing, because proposals are being made, strategies are being made, right? And different basic fundamental things that are used in these departments are being done by AI. Does anyone want to throw in what they think so far? Let me see if I'm seeing anything on the chat. No one wants to share?
I mean, piggybacking off of what Linda said last week, it doesn't mean that people or humans in the field are going to be extinct, because to be honest, AI is going to be involved in every field. I remember I attended a seminar last month of the Engineering Institute of Technology in Australia, where they were talking about AI in things like mechanical engineering and stuff like that. So what we're going to need to do as people is basically we're going to need to learn new skills and how we can use AI in our field, like make it a tool for us. It's like, it's not the end goal, it's just a tool that we can use through the process to make the process more efficient and faster, but it's not going to replace us as people.
Yeah. Does anyone else have something to add to that? To what this whole thing means to us? Okay, I'll proceed. And if anyone, okay, sorry, someone wanted to speak.
Yes. For me, AI is like the relationship between a creator and the created. There's no point where the created can outdo the creator. So I guess we are the people who are creating some of these technologies. So because we are the mastermind behind the whole thing, there is no way that AI could completely like leave us jobless or something. I believe it's just a way of increasing our productivity, like I highlighted, that some of the things that we would take time to try and do now with AI, we reduce the time of doing those things and concentrate on the most important things. So I think it's just a way of unlocking untapped potential.
Yeah, I think you said something that's very important there, which is we now shift focus to things that are actually more important. Like now we don't spend so much time caring about how something is looking, but we are now spending so much time in the end product. Or we are thinking now of the strategy after these things are being designed. the implementations of these things, right? How can the numbers actually increase? Focusing on how you're actually solving a problem with the things that you're coming up with. So before all this, let's say before AI came into design, so the first diagram here, which says ceiling and floor, which on the top part of the green, we have design leaders, designers, and students who are learning how to design. So these are people who had design experience, design, they want to grow in this area. And then the floor line just shows like the minimum skill requirements that's needed for someone to participate in design, right? And we can see that before it was like leveraging mostly people who are just there on the top. But now with AI, it has lowered the floor, right? Allowing people who are also not experts to take part into this. I think for people who are experts in design, I think they only get irritated when they hear, I feel like most of them, I mean, okay, so people who are experts in this design field, let's say design leaders, designers, and students, when they hear researchers or founders saying, oh my God, like AI is going to take over your job, it's because they're looking at it from their beginners of designing perspective, right? Which is for them just a presentation with colors and how things are looking bright is enough, right? But then for the top designer, the thinking is like, okay, this thing won't grab your attention because like the first thing like somebody sees is this and this and this and this. So long story short, AI has helped lower the floor, allowing more people into the design process. And as much as this can seem as if it's more competition, or some people in the lower rank of designing, like students, would lose their design jobs because now people who are below them can actually do what they're doing. Yes, they might lose it, but it's also a challenge to think beyond the like minimum, right? And then after allowing everyone in this bracket, what now also AI does is that it makes us people who are there on top, the designers, students, the marketers, whatever. They like AI just helps like higher the ceiling. Now it makes us think of what we should focus on. How exactly can we stay on top? How can we be proactive with our learning and with our jobs, right? We continue with what does this mean for us? So as we know that we can't predict the future, but we can control how we respond to it. And I think with everyone on this call, like my encouragement is that with AI, how we should approach it, as much as we know that in the short term, it can't take anyone's job. In the long run, we can also say that it can't take anyone's job. But however the future would be, the key thing is that you are proactive, you're curious, meaning when you will hear these new things that are happening, you're hearing that there's ChatGPT, you're hearing this is doing that, like be keen to like also explore these things so that you're not left behind on what can actually impact, let's say, your line of work, or what can actually impact your whole job hunting process, right? So always be curious when you hear things that are actually fascinating. Don't ignore them. Be proactive in taking actions towards this. If it's learning, if it's just all that, engage with people. Always make sure that your mind is being stimulated and just be optimistic. Because yeah, as we said, we don't know the future, we can't predict it, but we can live day by day in a way that we know for a fact that we'll see like our tomorrow will be good. So how can we adapt to this whole thing? Number one, new ways to focus on problem solving instead of pixel solving. This is specifically for people who are into graphic design, but I think even for people who are, aside from designers, even for people who are into like, okay, computer science, whatever area you are in, if it's project management, if it is, what other job? Anyways, whichever job, right? for a graphic designer, the minimal things are like the pixel solving. You focus so much on the design, but then your design doesn't generate numbers. Let's say your design doesn't actually bring in people. Or when it comes to event planning, you can focus so much on how that whole, you can lose focus of the end goal of your project. If the end goal is like, okay, from this event, we wanted to capture 1, 2, 3, 4 type of people. Seeing someone in the chat. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So I even lost track of what I'm saying. Let me move to point number 2. Yeah. So emphasis on collaboration. I think the best way to make your mind always stay engaging and to also not feel as if you're behind or you're dumb is by being a continuous learner, right? Emphasize collaboration, talk to people, put yourself in environments where it will stimulate your thinking, right? Focus on the shared goals and not our differences. This goes along like you and AI. Like don't be thinking so much, oh my goodness, like what's the difference? Like AI can do this, AI can do this. It's like, okay, or this people can do this and I can't do this, or maybe now these people are taking over my jobs, or whatever the case. Focus on the end goal. Am I meeting it? And see how you can make your differences work together. And then another thing is just, lower your ego and recognize that great ideas can come from anywhere. With that said, I wanted to leave you guys with 4 tools. Someone already mentioned DAO. So there is Figma that we have opened here for people who want to do web design, who want to do design. I think it's a tool that is open to designing so many things. And it's also easy to navigate-ish in comparison to like WordPress and stuff like that. There is Canva. Some might say that Canva is somehow, but I think if you follow us on social media, and I hope all of you do, you can see most of our designs. I believe most of them are appealing. And we use a mixture of many tools, and Canva is one of them. And you wouldn't really tell, but that's because of somebody's expertise on design or somebody's taste. There is Wix. That's also easy to maneuver if you wanna make your blogs, make your sites, anything. And DAL, which is basically helps you generate the type of images that you want. For people who are into design, I think I was working with a friend of mine who was doing like a brand guideline. And I just saw how she was able to make pictures of people that is not very easy to get on the internet. I think if for people who are designing, a big challenge that would face is getting images of Black people doing something. There's like a scarcity when you're designing to find good pictures of Black people. You would find so many white people. And when you're making content for people in our region or in our continent, you always want to relate with people. You want someone to see this and say, oh, yeah, I see myself in it. And for them to just even see that, they have to see a reflection of themselves-ish, which is using people who look like us. Now, finding pictures, stock pictures of Black people are a challenge sometimes. And I think tools like DAO really help with that. So yeah, we've come up to the end of our presentation. I would like to see more faces and hear more voices and just hear what you guys have take away so far, and how do you guys feel about AI and design, and how you can also include design in your processes of work and stuff like that. Let me just hear your takeaways. Yeah. Should I pick? Yes, Miriam. After Miriam, I'd like to hear another lady's voice. I've heard like three men. I would like to hear more voices after Miriam's. Yes, Miriam.
Okay, so the session was really informative, and what I took away from it is that we shouldn't always be using AI, that's artificial intelligence, but we should normalize using augmented intelligence, which is more like saying we are not focusing too much on what AI can do, but what we can do together with what AI has to offer. So that's like my takeaway from the session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy that that's your takeaway, because that's a takeaway that I want you guys to have. Yeah, someone else. So in the meantime, I just opened Instagram and just to show that for some people, because I know a lot of people will try to discourage you about Canva and make it seem very shallow. I think for me, it's like depending with your eye. So let's say this design, I made this with Canva, right? But how I normally make design is like I would normally make designs from scratch, which is like I would see an idea, I'll get inspiration somewhere, I'll get inspirations from templates on Canva and come back and try and implement something. You twist it, like I just don't take what I'm given, but you can maneuver and make something that looks nice. Or even this pathway poster that you guys saw was Canva. I think I also made a video, but this was not the AI one generated. This is part edit. So yeah, I think one, like, let's not be lazy with just taking what AI gives us, because when we're lazy by just using what AI gives us, that's how we end up getting scared that AI can take up our job, because we're not trying to think further, or we're not trying to think beyond what AI can give us. We're not trying to grow the ideas that AI gives. Yeah. Any other lady? I want to hear like a lady before we wrap up. Should I peek? I don't like peeking because it feels like school. But Agnes, do you want us to hear your voice? Or Fiona? Okay. Munashe? Okay, I guess I'll be...
Hi, everyone.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah. Hi, Munashe.
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm fine.
Can you all hear me?
Sorry?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, that's great. My key takeaways, for me, I actually haven't explored so this was actually my first time hearing about the topic. Of course, I heard about Canva and Adobe, but I actually didn't know like how to use those applications. So this has been a very informative session because I've gained some knowledge on how, even though I don't have any designing background, I can use these applications to create maybe a basic design or of some sort. Yeah, those are my key takeaways.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm glad to hear from someone who has zero design background. Okay, I'll wrap it up from here. Thank you guys for joining. And I look forward to joining another session with you guys. Somebody said they're going to share with me the portfolio. You may after this. I think it was Kareem. Yeah, so have a lovely weekend, and see you next Friday.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good afternoon. Thank you.
you're welcome. Someone saying I learned that Canva is just as good as other platforms. Just show respect for Canva, yes. All right, guys. Bye-bye.